Thank you. Through you to Mr. Hind. It's because it's hard to see from the screen here, but when we went to meet some residents at Christopher Court, there was some discussion as to where the ramp into the underground parking, which side it would be, and it looks, from where I can see, that it's still adjacent to Christopher Court. Has it been moved since the last discussions with the residents? I just want to know where that stood.
Number one, it hasn't been moved.
Oh, Mr. Hind, to the black.
It hasn't been moved. What we've done is we've taken an approach by doing a design exercise where it's completely hidden from the Christopher Court residents. The ramp, as you see it here, is now being buffered by not only a landscaped and stone wall, but armor stone.
Oh, Mr. Hind, I'm sorry, the public can't hear your comments.
The landscaping that we've introduced completely hides the entrance to the underground parking. You can't see it from the existing vegetation or partially the existing vegetation, but we've introduced mature trees, landscape elements like large armor stone rock, another landscaping layer, and then as this slopes down, you can see the impact the car has. The car will be at the wall, there'll be a landscape area, the armor stone, and then a planting area all along here to respect not only what exists there today, but will completely hide any access into that underground parking.
Mr. Hind, will that be on, is that on display currently in the lobby, that particular schematic?
Yes, it was.
Okay, it is on display in the lobby. Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or clarification, Councillor Flynn?
Just wondering if we could actually get the ones from the hallway and put them on easels in the front here so people can see. Can we move a couple of them?
I think that's a very good idea. I'm just wondering if someone from staff could assist us with that. Thank you. Any other questions of clarification for Mr. Hind? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to move on then to the balance of our public speakers this evening. Thank you, Mr. Hind, for your presentation. Okay, so everyone would have received a number as you've come in if you have a desire to speak to the committee. I would ask at this point that the person holding number one please come forward.
Kelvin Rand, 100 John Street, excuse me, 200 John Street. I also have a home in Buffalo, New York.
Let's go ahead.
I have several questions about what's land use, but all these buildings are going to be restored and maintained. When I talked with Gary Peterson years ago, he mentioned the fact that we wanted to build a boutique hotel out of the original Randwood and maybe add 100, not 100 rooms, about 40 to 50 rooms onto it. Now since then, that program I think has greatly enlarged and changed. So I hear now that the proposal is that there be many more rooms, like 200 or 210 rooms, to service the conference center. And that the conference center, the room itself, the addition is going to be a lot higher than he originally told me. He talked about a boutique hotel. So I'm concerned about the size of the addition, which I believe, as you said, was, I don't know, 3 or 4 stories, at least 3 stories, maybe 4 stories higher than the building now, which would place it higher than the original tower in the old Randwood building. Now, I just think this exceeds the building, not building permit, but the building allowance for such an addition. Originally, he spoke about a boutique hotel, maybe 40 or 50 rooms at the most. The next we heard was going to be a major hotel with 100 or 200 rooms, hardly a boutique hotel. So I'm very concerned about this change in his plans. I don't know whether he's here tonight, but if he is here, perhaps he could explain it. Or perhaps you can explain this change in that building. So basically, I'm concerned about that building, the size of it. It overlooks my house out in the back where I live now. It overlooks my swimming pool. It covers twice as much territory as the original set. So I think that's something worth considering by this committee. I think as far as road situation, several of you mentioned a large road that would go back part of the property. You mentioned setbacks to such a road, and I wasn't clear from the presentation where that road was going. I have a road that I put in from John Street along the east side of Randwood property, which then goes into the back part of the property. And this is my road. I own it. I built it. And whatever you want to call that road now, I don't know. But it's the major road from John Street into my property, which was severed a number of years ago. And I was told that I had to have an access to John Street before I could get a severance. So I did. So I think this is under control of this road. I also have a land use on a road from Charlotte Street into the side of my property, past Mr. Bob Dingman's house, opposite here today, and I see no problem with that road as long as it is honored as a joint use between myself and Dingman. So I have 2 entrances to the property, and I want to make sure those entrances are maintained. I think for the moment, those are my main concerns. I think you understand them, and I'd be happy to answer any questions related to them.
I'm just wondering if anybody has any questions of clarification for Mr. Rand. Any questions of clarification? Thank you very much, sir.
Can I come back into this discussion later on if need be?
You do have an opportunity to ask questions this evening that we can answer at the next public meeting. However, everyone has a chance to speak once this evening.
I understand that. Fine, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us this evening.
Yes.
And may I have your name?
I'm Yvonne McMurrow, and I live in Central Circle in Garrison. So to our Lord Mayor and Member of Council, and ladies and gentlemen, I have just a few very brief remarks to make. I know that we wouldn't have this beautiful town that we live in unless we had sustainable and very careful planning. However, can we continue to plan anything before we get our infrastructure in order? And by infrastructure, even though I don't want to hijack the meeting to another subject, you all know what I mean, and that is sewage. We have hardly enough capacity, in fact we have inadequate capacity at the moment to deal with what we have. And development is going to take place, that's inevitable. And development creates jobs, and it gives a tax base to the town and has a multiplier effect on the economy in the town. But development without putting the horse before the cart has to be reconsidered. And as I see it, members of council and our Lord Mayor have been elected to make the right decisions on this issue, and I'm sure that they are pretty confident they will make the right decision in the right order on this particular matter. But if the international press got a hold of the fact that our wastewater or sewage is inadequate at the moment, they could literally kill us. Because if you remember during the SARS and the Walkerton issue, the international press said Canada, not Walkerton or Toronto. And it did have a very negative effect on us. And that would involve, World Health Organization and things like that. So please, members of council and our Lord Mayor, make the right decisions in the right order. And I'm confident that you will.
Thank you for your presentation. And I'm just curious, are there any questions of clarification for the presenter this evening? Okay, seeing that, and thanks for joining us. If we could have your name and address, please.
My name is Jennifer Rand Griffiths, and I live at 18755 St. Andrews Drive, and I live in Colorado. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the council and planning committees. I know my father has spoken. I, of course, am opposed to the size and scope of the Romance Inn and Arts Center project. We are abutters, as you know, directly impacted by the size of all these new buildings that are proposed. To be specific, there's supposed to be new buildings, number 4, 5, and 7. Mammoth structures designed to be 40 feet high, as my father said, as high as the tower of the original house. And these would be right over the Rand swimming pool that's been there for over 50 years. Structures looming over the property of my father's. The design of these buildings seem to have been done with total disregard for my father's property and that of our neighbors at Christopher Court and Charlotte Street, Weatherstone, as well as the Damon's property. And as my father said, the road they were talking about on the east side of the development is his driveway, not the Romance Peterson Fowler's private driveway. We wonder how the traffic study has been looked at so positively with the parking garage designed for 200 cars, a wedding pavilion designed to hold as many as 600 people. Where are all these cars and idling buses going to go? Of course, there'll be staff, guests, and vendors for the pavilion, so just a very large amount of people and vehicles on this beautiful property. So we are shocked by the size of the underground garage that's going to be used. We're shocked by the size of the buildings, and we find this is an abominably sized project that will undermine the historic value of Randwood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rand. Any questions or clarification? Okay, see.